Okay, today I'm going to present you a solution using a GenAI model, Korea, in order to translate from a language to another language. What you need to imagine is the need is to be able in a chatbot to allow translation between the language used by the customer and the language used by the support team. Okay, language are different, so you need translation. But you need not only translation, and you can have other need, and you can add other tool in order to get information with the translation. That's why we decided to do a small test, a POC, with using Korea, okay, and LangChain and OCI, okay. LangChain OCI, so and LangGraph, this is a really, really nice framework, okay. As you can see is here the code. So this is a Python code. You can see the chat with the Korea model. So very simple. Okay. In order to deploy this REST service, we used FastAPI. Okay. Very simple tool to declare /translate. Okay. So the URL of the REST API in order to translate from a language to another. And in order to run the REST services, we used Uvicorn. Okay. So the question is always the same. How to deploy now this code very easily? Okay. The answer is very simple. On OCI, you can use container instances. So this is a serverless compute service that enables you to instantly run containers without managing any servers. Okay. And to do that, we did a stack, so a Terraform stack. You can see on my project here, not this one, here. I have a Terraform stack, okay, in order to create container instances, to deploy the image using Uvicorn and my GenAI model, okay, with LangGraph and LangChain. And I have a load balancer because I want to be able to create several container instances in order to have high availability on this REST API. Okay. In front of container instances, sure, I need a load balancer. So the stack can create the load balancer automatically and can register all the container instances as backend behind the load balancer. And if I want to add more feature, for example, I want to add security, but I don't want to implement security on my code myself, I can use, okay, the API gateway. So on the API gateway, API gateway in front of the load balancer, in front of the container instances running my translation service using GenAI model plus later some tools. Okay. What you can see on the API gateway on authentication, for the moment I have no authentication, sorry. You can have a single authentication and you can use OAuth. That's very, very simple to do that. I will do that later, but I don't want to show you that with security for the moment. It's a simple demo. Okay. Okay. So I have no OAuth authorization for the moment for my demo. It's okay, but it's very easy to add it. We have a lot of video showing you how to add OAuth very easily on the API gateway. First, you have translate, deployed, okay, on the load balancer. How I created the stack, the Terraform stack, in order to deploy this code. In fact, you have a super nice feature on OCI stack Terraform, okay, stack resource manager. Sorry, this is a Terraform cloud service on OCI. You can add a button in order to deploy automatically your stack, okay, Terraform. I did that, and I have the button, okay, on my GitHub project. And when I click on the button, directly on a button like that, directly I created a stack, okay. So I just want to show you the result. Okay. When you click on the button, you create a stack, okay, with all the Terraform code. You enter variables, you do the apply, and at the end, okay, and at the end, you get two container instance here running your code, okay, with a load balancer in front and the gateway in front of the load balancer, okay. So super nice. Just to show you test, I can call the load balancer, okay. Okay, I can translate this sentence in English to this sentence in Spanish, okay. And you see the time, 500 milliseconds, because we call a LLM, so it's not so fast. It's like that. And you can add some tool, okay? But it's okay in a chatbot, 500 milliseconds in order to translate a message from another in another language is okay. Okay. If I'm using the API gateway, then I got HTTPS instead of HTTP. Very nice. And I can add O2 later. So I can call them via the API gateway. What is nice on the API gateway? I can add another feature in order to limit, for example, the number of calls to my API, because you have a LLM here. I'm using a generic model and not a dedicated model for my own usage. So I can limit the usage on that in order to have a good latency answer. Okay. Nice. Now, at the end, I can do a load test. Okay. It means I can use K6 in order to do a load test on the URL. And you can see I used 20 virtual user doing request at the same time, every 1 or 2 seconds, and I got an average duration of 400 milliseconds. Okay. So what is super nice, what is super nice is each time you create a code using AI, you ask the question, where will I deploy this code? And generally, a good answer is deploy this code on a serverless service. And a nice, simple serverless service on OCI is just container instances. Okay. Another use case, I can have used function, I can have used Kubernetes, and so on and so on. But you can see here, just a click, a stack, deploy, everything is created very easily, and my service is running, and I can master my code very easily here. And now I can implement new tool in order to increase the power of this translation, not only a translation plus tool to get information somewhere. And that's the need of the customer in the chatbot. Thank you for your attention.